Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Last night's live, somebody asked me to talk about Kim and Putin meeting in Vladivostok. They had a long meeting, and we don't really know what came out of it because, of course, the details were undisclosed. And you can see I put up this meme here. Vlad, you're looking healthy. Thank you. I lost a kilo. Ha, ha, ha. And I would think the same thing about this meeting, that it was a joke, if it weren't of two such evil people doing so much evil in the world, getting together to talk about how they can help each other do more evil. And make no mistake, that's who these people are. You want to know who you are? Look at your friends. Kim Jong-un is the third successor in a line of men, from the father to the son to this final piece of the unholy trinity, that thinks of the people of North Korea as his own personal property. They are starving, and he's building weapons. The people have no freedoms. He invited some foreigners into the country last year. What happened? Everybody in Seoul had to get up at 4 a.m. and go out and help sweep the streets and wash the buildings before the foreigners got there. This is not a joke. Every single person in the nation is drafted, is part of his staff, and that's how he treats them. And they are poor. They are so poor and so malnourished that the average North Korean soldier standing guard at the DMZ today is a full 3 inches shorter, or about 7 centimeters shorter, than their well-fed South Korean counterpart. Think about that. These guys are so malnourished in childhood that on average, they are 7 centimeters shorter than their South Korean neighbors. You read stories about people who escaped from North Korea and what the cult of North Korea is like and what they have to believe up there. They believe that the day that this piece of shit was born, the birds all sang in Korean. They believe at the age of 9, the very first time he ever fired a gun, he hit a target, a bullseye, 3 times in a row at 500 yards. This kind of idol worship of men is what leads us down a path of our own destruction. It is probably the worst feature of the human species, our tendency to worship, especially when it is so badly misplaced. This incompetent piece of shit who uses people and throws them away, who murdered his own brother and uncle in order to maintain power, is shaking hands with a ruthless murderer who publicly executed one of his right-hand men in spectacular fashion just a couple weeks ago when Eugene's plane went down. So what do I think is going to come out of this? They're going to agree to some kind of deal. Certainly the Russians are going to send the Koreans food because they desperately need it, because the great leader eats everything that's available and leaves nothing for the people, metaphorically and literally. And then the Koreans are going to give the Russians some weapons because they have similar systems, Soviet weapons, it all matches, right? You think Putin's going to send the best grain? No, he's going to send the moldy grain that's stuck in the grain silos that didn't get sold last year. That's what he's going to send. The cheapest, worst shit he can find. How about Kim? You think he's going to send the good 155 millimeter shells? Nah, he's going to send the ones that have been stored in the containers with leaky roofs. He's going to send the ones that were stored someplace where, they froze 1 year. Right? They didn't have enough insulation in the building and the brass is cracked. He's going to send, that's what's going to happen. This shit is 40 years old to begin with, right? So he's not going to send the ones that work. I promise you that. And Putin is not going to send him the good shit. He's going to sell that to Bangladesh. Bangladesh just signed up to buy 300,000 tons of grain from the Russians. So what do I think? I think you're looking at a couple of losers who cause a great deal of evil in the world and need to be reined in. And the idea that Putin has to go to Kim Jong-un for help should tell everybody all they need to know about how weak and isolated and desperate the Kremlin is. That's what I think.